And we are joined now by Michigan's Mr. Do-It-All, Jabrill Peppers. Jabrill, first and foremost, congratulations. What does it mean to you to be named the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year?
Well, it definitely means a lot. You definitely put the work in, and, it's great to be rewarded. But, this is I like to think of it as a team award. I like to thank the scout team first and foremost. They gave great looks all year. Coach Brown did a great job in putting us in positions to excel. And, so I guess this is a byproduct of all of that.
Defensively speaking, because you've been known to play across the board on all sides of the ball, but just defensively, you have made quite a jump statistically between last season and this season. What's the difference here?
I just wanted to be more aggressive. I felt as though I missed a lot of tackles that I should have made last year, and I made that a point of emphasis in the offseason just to, when you get there and get a chance to make a tackle or make a play, you make it. And I just trusted myself more. Trusted the schemes and the guys around me. And, it definitely showed.
Now, many football players play both sides of the ball when they're growing up and when they're in high school, but not many are able to do it at this level. You're averaging more than 72 plays per game. You had more than 100 plays in that Ohio State game. So I have to ask, do you get tired at all? How do you keep up with that?
We have a great, strength and conditioning program. The practices are very gruesome, so it makes the game slow down for you. Of course you're sore, but, I'm never tired when I'm there. I like to say practice is, much faster than the games. And, when you get to the game, you get to do one at a time, and, that definitely helps and takes a lot off your body.
Well, you've seemingly done it all. You have interceptions, sacks, you have punt returns for touchdown, offensive touchdowns. Do you have one particular moment from this season that stands out to you above all the rest?
No, not really. I try to make as many plays as I can and, try to help the guys around me as much as I can. And, so there's no real play that stuck out, but if I had to pick one, the fan base gave me a hard time about not having any interceptions this year. So, I found it kind of ironic that my first one came against those guys. But, other than that, you just try to make a play whenever you're asked to and, whenever you can.
Yeah, I don't know if it's so much ironic or if it's just, the big stage brings out the big plays, but this certainly was a huge game for you guys. Can you talk about how tough this loss was going into double overtime and certainly playing your hearts out this past weekend?
Yeah, it's always tough when you lose to those guys. And, we fought hard, but, we came up at the short end of the stick. I felt as though, we played, good ball, but all in all, they made great plays when it mattered. I tip my hats to those guys. Much respect, much respect to JT, much respect to Curtis, because when it was time to make a play, they made it. And, you can only commend that. It was a double overtime game, and, a lot of emotions go into that. And, so it's a learning experience, just another, notch in the road, but it's nothing we can't recover from, nothing we can't learn from, and, hope to continue to get better.
You guys are now one of several two-loss teams vying for a spot in the playoff, but you have one of the best resumes of those teams vying for a playoff position. Can you talk about what the team mentality or attitude in the locker room is like when it comes to the playoff? You put everything out there for the committee.
We just talk about just controlling the controllables. It's nothing we can do. All that wishing and hoping people lose stuff is nice, but it's also out of your hands. But our mindset is, we're going to keep preparing, for whoever we may play, whatever bowl game we may end up in, or even if we do end up in the playoffs, we're just going to keep preparing, keeping our bodies in top-notch shape, and, keeping our focus, because even though this is a tough loss, we still have a chance to do something special. And, so we're very aware of that, and, we're just going to keep putting in the work and just see how things play out.
All right, Jabrill, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on your many awards.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you.